Texas A&M, Nebraska, Memphis, Tennessee, 6:50 p.m. Eastern, TNT. Nebraska looking for its first ever tournament win in program history. 1-point favorite here, total 147.5. I think this will be a great game. I ultimately settled on going with Texas A&M. Not sure I'll bet it, but I am biased. I love Texas A&M. I do have a Final Four future on them. I love Wade Taylor. There's some advantages here for both teams. Like, you gotta hit threes against Nebraska. Texas A&M can't really do that. But can Texas A&M just win this game on the glass? That's where I think they will ultimately win it. Just dominating the glass on both ends, second chance opportunities. Nebraska, not a good defensive rebounding team. So I'm sure Texas A&M is going to take a ton of bad shots, and they're basically like, their offense has been better. They're playing a little faster, and Buzz has just kind of said, hey, Radford, hey, Wade, just go to the basket. And I will say Obaseki, his emergence has really helped on the offensive end as well. But it's still a bad shooting team. You got to be able to shoot against Nebraska, but you also can offensive rebound. I think that's the difference. I think Texas A&M gets done, but I think this will be super, super competitive game. Greg is our Big Ten correspondent. Do you agree or disagree?
I love where you landed, Stuck, because it's where I landed as well. And sometimes it hurts when you've watched a team for 4 months and you come into the NCAA tournament being like, I can't wait to back up my belief in a team like Nebraska by picking them to the second weekend. Let's watch them make a run. But then they just get given a team that you have no idea what they're going to do with. That's this draw for me. A&M has been awesome at second chances. As we know, the number one offensive rebounding team in the country. They're just the best in the sport at it.
Top since Nebraska, 26, highest offensive rebounding rate since 2016.
Ridiculous. And it's how, like, it's relentless. It's a team effort. It's not like they just have one monster down there. Like, that's the entire game plan of how to win games. You have to be at least formidable against that to make yourself have a chance to win comfortably against A&M. Nebraska's not. They're 223rd at preventing offensive rebounds. Coming into this game, it's a fun one because both these teams are peaking, right? Since the calendar flipped to March, Texas A&M is the 5th best team in the country. Nebraska is the 7th best team in the country per Bart Torvik. Go back a little further. Go to February 10th. If we take a closer look at what these two teams have actually done to get the analytics sites to speak so highly of them late in the season, let's take a look. Nebraska, their wins since February 10th, over a month now. Michigan, Penn State, Indiana, Minnesota, Rutgers, Michigan, Indiana. You guys don't have to think too hard to tell me what those teams have in common. They're horrible basketball teams. Texas A&M in that same span has wins over Tennessee, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. I think Texas A&M's turnaround is legit. I think Nebraska's turnaround is very much schedule driven, and give them credit for separating and elevating their program forward beyond a very mediocre Big Ten conference. But this is just a nightmare matchup, guys, because I don't know who they can even guard Wade Taylor with. I was trying to think about this. It's like, if Keisei Tominaga's on the floor, he can't hide anywhere. You can't put him on Radford or Taylor. I think either one would kind of go right through him. He's going to be on the floor, so that's already a liability. Hoiberg's son can't play at all in this game, and he's been playing 20-ish minutes a night. CJ Wilcher would be the personnel guy that you would think would be the best matchup to try and take on the challenge of Wade Taylor, but CJ Wilcher didn't play in the Big Ten tournament due to injury. It leaves them in a really, really tough spot. And when I think about what Nebraska has done well defensively this season, it's been when they've thrown unorthodox looks at teams that are usually post-oriented, right? Like they had a great game plan against Zach Edey. They've had some weird switchable things, some zone looks that Hoiberg's unrolled against teams in the Big Ten that like to play a more plotting style through the post. They're going to have to go zone here because they can't guard Wade Taylor one-on-one. Just can't do it. So when they do go zone, A&M's going to have so many chances to just dominate and do what they do best on the offensive boards. I think it's a complete nightmare matchup. I have to take the Aggies catching a point here. I wish it was plus money on the money line. It's essentially a pick 'em, but I think there's a lot of value here on A&M.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the Nebraska defensive resurgence, but you mentioned who they played. Also, since February 1st, opponents are shooting 29.5% from three. Before then, 33.5%, which is probably what you'd expect for a team that gives up high volume of looks. So that's kind of juiced up their defensive metrics a bit. So yeah, I think we came to the same conclusion, but it definitely won't be easy. Calabrese, did you want to add anything here?
I like Nebraska, just not at this number. I don't think they should be laying points for a lot of the reasons that you guys are laying down. So I'm going to look for them live. If A&M gets lucky, makes their first two triples, and I can get 3 or 4 points, I think Nebraska is a lot closer to this team in terms of having the offensive firepower to shoot from long range and get back into it. If it goes the other way and A&M, like basically Nebraska packs it in and says, beat us from long range, good luck. You know, I've seen enough of A&M this year. Yes, they've had a few fluky games where they've made threes, but for the majority of the season, they're not a very good shooting team. So this is a pass for me, but a live look if I can get Nebraska in, let's call it the first 5 to 6 minutes of the game, instead of laying points, catching 3 or 4.